Now, Hans, I mentioned in my intro, and most of you have alluded to Baidu, Alibaba, Tencent, which are heavy investors themselves. So let me pose a challenge to you. Those companies are investing so aggressively, and they have such vibrant platforms, and they have so much capital that they're going to win. They're going to get all the wins, and you're not.
I think there's definitely a way for VCs to coexist with the strategic investors. Like Anna mentioned earlier, a lot of us are investing earlier and earlier. So the teams are bubbling up, we're investing in them. And when it comes to the right time, and Alibaba or Tencent will end up investing in that company and channel traffic to them to help them to grow faster. And the speed of which that happened is much faster in China and it's in the US. Because when we invest in both markets, we see. You don't see Google and Facebook doing the same thing that Tencent and Alibaba are doing. And I will argue that because Tencent and Alibaba come into earlier and willing to give traffic to help the companies grow faster, whether it's in the case of DD in ride sharing or the case of Mobike in bike sharing, you see these companies pop and grow faster than their counterparts in the US. It took Uber started in 2007, 2008. They didn't become a $3 billion market cap, $3 billion valuation company until 2012. It took them 5-6 years to get there. DD got there much faster in like literally 3 years. You interviewed Davis earlier. Mobile become a over $10 billion company in literally 2 years. That just doesn't happen in the US. And the challenge is that most people in the US don't get, and they don't understand, how come these valuations pop up so quickly? Because Chinese entrepreneurs are working 996, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 6 days a week. The market, so many young users that Anna alluded to earlier are willing to try new services that Nate from Airbnb was also talking about. So everybody know the first 3 years, decide who's going to be winner. You got these top three, and the only top two if not number one. So the battle is on from team, shareholder, getting Tencent or Ali involved. Everybody knows what their role is, and every time a new category comes up, boom, you see that happen. Sitting all over the Silicon Valley or New York or elsewhere, people are just amazed and shocked at how much of a bubble it is. Definitely it's not a bubble. There's a science to how this works. It has worked several times already, and we'll see more of that happen, that playbook, in almost every new internet plus sector.
That's right. You're nodding your head at when Hans says that it's a science. You know, I assume the same is true in China. In the US, it's becoming very popular for these photos of mounds and mounds of junked Mobikes and Ofos and other bikes, because it's entertaining to be passed around. That doesn't feel scientific to me. That's a specific question, but to tell me what you think of what he's saying.
Actually, I think basically I have an idea that, I have an observation that the big innovations in China are coming from basically two directions. One is from the existing giants, and another is startups. And I think the difficulty for the startups, it's more and more difficult for me. I think it's the framework coming into the second phase, which is we call the almost established empire. So we think it's very important for the startups to start from for some place which is far away from the BATs, TMDs, and they need to spend. It's better for them to spend 3 or 4 years to grow from 0 to 1. Maybe it's not a good thing to spend only half a year or 1 year to be so popular. And at that time, you will be face too much competitions, not only from peers, but from the big giants. For example, Toutiao actually, in the first 4 years, no one cared. No one cared about them.
So everyone who's Chinese in this room knows about them, but would you tell everyone who doesn't know the story briefly? Say the name of the company again and tell them, I didn't know, I guess I did know they were under the radar for 4 years because I didn't know.
Yeah. Basically, Toutiao is...
Toutiao.
Toutian. It means top bus. The
headlines.
it highlights. Yeah, it's a recommendation engine to give you the best contents you may like based on your behavior, based on the data he has. So the giants like Alibaba, Tencent, Baidu didn't ignore them in the first 4 years. And when we did the investment, while I was in Sequoia, I interviewed like 10 people from Tencent, Baidu News, Phoenix News, Sohu News, Sina News. Everyone say no.
No.
Forget it.
Not interesting.
We were beat them in no more than 1 year. They don't have the content. They don't have the capital to buy content. They don't have the capital to do the branding. But they didn't know that it's another way to innovate. It's another way to compete. So yeah, I think it's the time window for the startups in China is very, very key. If you have 2 or 3 years time window, it will be much better.
Yes.
And that's your estimation by the time window. What you're essentially saying is your time window is measured by how long it will take the BAT to figure it out.
Almost. So it's important to check another side of the table, to check the idea about your idea. Everyone think.
If everyone says bad, you actually have a chance.
Yeah. It's a very good feedback.
Until they change their mind. But Anna, help us figure out. Hans states quite confidently that there's no bubble in Chinese venture capital. Are you as confident?
Well, I don't know. I don't think there's a bubble because I think what you're saying is there are real users and they're
Right.
good companies. But I think there is definitely this herd mentality that is a little bit dangerous. So Charlie's example is a good one where, independent thinking, he saw something that was going to catch on and, great investment. But there is sort of a herd mentality in our field where, for example, right now it's about 新零售, right? New retail.
New retail.
And it's what every investor's talking about. Now you have everybody going in to invest in this. And the key to winning this game, because it's maybe not a winner takes all game, is unless you put enough money in that it's the Ofo Mobile story, right? Like they have so much capital. They have 95% of the capital. No one else can really compete. So who is going to have the most capital first? So there is this capital game. So I call it the herd mentality. I mean, you see it not only with new retail now, but earlier this year was with 充电宝, the phone chargers.
Sharing
right? Everybody
companies.
is rushing to that, and it might. I mean, I don't know that it's a good investment. We didn't make an investment, but so when you talk about a bubble, I think when you have this herd mentality with say 2 or 3 themes per year, there could be a bubble in that particular sector.
Which means that Chinese VC game is changing. Either you're super early, like what Gem Fund is doing to some degree, Source Code is doing that too. So you're the first in those companies. Or like us, we're thinking about growing our AUM bigger. So once BAT come in, we still have the capital to keep up at least for a couple rounds.